Less than 24 hours after the attack, Atlanta residents and Asian Americans in particular are dealing with the aftermath. For more on the reaction on the ground, we're joined by Stephanie Cho. She's the executive director of Asian Americans Advancing Justice. It's a national civil rights group. She runs their Atlanta office. Stephanie, welcome to the NewsHour, and thanks for making the time. So you're there on the ground. Let's start by just giving us a sense of how last night's attack is impacting people. How are they reacting the day after?
This morning we had a community call and we had about 60 different individuals, including legislators and organizations and individuals, and we're just reeling from it. People are scared. People are closing their businesses early. They did last night and they're looking at doing that again. And it's really creating a shockwave throughout the Asian American community here, but also nationally and definitely also internationally.
I need to ask you about some things we've learned from the authorities. They held a press conference earlier to update on the suspect's arrest. They say the suspect told police that he had a sexual addiction. He launched these attacks in a form of vengeance. And they say that the suspect, despite targeting Asian women and the majority of his victims being Asian women, denied a racial motivation, but that they haven't ruled out bias as a motivation. What is your reaction to that?
I think that's absolutely untrue. I think that this person has some smart lawyers and has a good legal team, but this is definitely a systematic approach to racism that's very gender-based. When we see this violence, particularly aimed at Asian American women, it's really about the fetishization of Asian American women and the violence that is occurred and targeted towards these places is very calculated. I don't know how anybody could see it not.
We're also speaking at the end of a very long and traumatizing year for Asian Americans across the country. We've seen an increase in the number of hate incidents and attacks. It's according to the group Stop AAPI Hate. Tell me a little bit about how that's impacted Asian Americans in Georgia.
I think it's the hate, unfortunately, is and the violence against Asian Americans is not new. It's something that has really been increased over COVID. And so the scapegoating of the disease to the Asian American community has really just exacerbated and now is sort of spilling into this moment. I think everybody feared that this would happen with the increased violence that was happening towards Asian Americans, and now it's happening here in Atlanta. And so for us as an organization, even when we were doing work on a voter registration hotline, right, just to give people information about what was happening, we got harassing calls. When our organization was doing work on immigration bills over the past couple of years, because there's anti-immigrant bills every year here, for the last 10 years, we get threatening calls. This violence has been happening here, particularly in the South, for many, many years, and it is the product of white supremacy. And so we see it as this is the culmination of that. And so we're reeling as a community, but we're also very strong, and we're here to really hold each other and ask for real accountability.
Stephanie, of course, the investigation into last night's attack still continues, including a possible motivation, but really regardless of what authorities find, what are you worried that the impact of last night's attack will be?
I think my worry is people not speaking out against the hate, not speaking out and not wanting to tell people if they experience harassment, hate, discrimination in any kind of way. And actually, this is the time for us to band together. We have, as an organization, also had a tremendous amount of support. And so I think what we're seeing is actually more and more people are banding together and creating solidarity in this moment and for the future.
Well, we are certainly thinking of you and everyone in Atlanta, and certainly the families of the victims. That is Stephanie Cho, Executive Director of Asian Americans Advancing Justice in Atlanta. Thank you very much.
Thank you.